Thanks for tuning in. Please indulge me for the next few minutes. This is likely more than you'd want to read, so I figured I'd do a video, but I think it's an important message. On this, I'm going to share a couple of quotes, some thoughts, and also some numbers. So first, let me start off with a quote from the book, The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck. Life is difficult. This is a great truth, one of the greatest truths. It's a great truth because once we truly see this truth, we transcend it. Once we truly know that life is difficult, once we truly understand and accept it, then life is no longer difficult. Because once it's accepted, the fact that life is difficult no longer matters. This quote reminds me of where I grew up in an area of Michigan's Upper Peninsula called the Copper Country. Now, it's about 4 hours due north of Green Bay, and because of where the Copper Country sits relative to Lake Superior, and Lake Superior doesn't freeze over, the area gets well over 200 inches of snow each and every year. Now, most people can't comprehend that much snow and would fathom that it's difficult to function in that sort of environment. And it is difficult. But for the proud people of the Copper Country who live there year after year, they accept it. They accept these winters. And because they accept this difficulty, it's really not difficult. To them, it's just a beautiful winter, and they've come to take advantage of it and enjoy it. So let's change gears here quickly. Let's talk about COVID. For many of us, when March rolled around and when it first hit the United States and we began these staying at home, social distancing, many of us said, okay, fine, I'll endure a few weeks at home binge watching Netflix. And then a few weeks turned into a few months, and we were kind of like, okay, surely by the end of summer, this will be behind us and we'll be back to our normal lives. Well, here we are. Summer is basically over. And what are we looking at? Well, here's a screenshot I created in an attempt to understand the situation better. I dug into a little science. I found some statistics and I ran some simple calculations. Now, if you look at the spreadsheet, you will see certainly a series of numbers, starting with the US population, 328 million people. And the 60% below that represents what's known as herd immunity. And that's the amount of people that need to become immune to COVID-19 where it really is no longer a factor anymore. Essentially, once 60% of the population becomes immune, they serve as a buffer for the other 40%. Well, if we go with that number, and these are assumptions that I've certainly made, it's all over the board, but generally speaking, 60% is the generally accepted norm for, or percentage for herd immunity. That means we have to have 196 million people who become immune to this. As of today, we're at about 6 million, 6.1 million people who are essentially immune to it, assuming that getting or being infected with COVID-19 makes you immune, and that's not necessarily a given. But if we assume that, then we still have 190 million people that need to become immune. And there's two paths to herd immunity. One is natural infection, and natural infection is we just continue this course, and one by one, people become infected with coronavirus, COVID, and we just continue on, and hopefully we lose very few people in that process. But if we go down that path, it's going to be about 11 years, 10 years until we have gotten to the herd immunity point. Let's talk vaccination. That's the other path. Vaccination, assuming we have a vaccine by the holidays, we started vaccinating people. If we vaccinate about 500,000 per day, if we vaccinate about 500,000 per day, then what that's going to do for us is essentially it's still going to take us into the end of this year to reach herd immunity. Now, please understand that I don't share these numbers to scare anyone. I'm not looking to depress anyone, and I'm certainly not looking for a debate. I fully acknowledge I'm not a scientist. This is not my area of expertise. I've done the best I could, and we could argue about assumptions here or there. But what I am confident in saying is that this COVID situation is going to be around for a while. Metaphorically speaking, this is like a long Copper Country winter. The situation is going to be difficult in many aspects, and what we need to do is we need to accept that. Just accept that it's going to be difficult. And if we accept it's going to be difficult, we're going to get through it a whole lot better. And with that, with accepting it, I want us to take to heart three things. One, I want us to learn to become really good at operating in this COVID world. Just like the people of the Copper Country are really good at moving snow, we need to learn to become exceptionally proficient at operating our businesses over Zoom or whatever. We need to be exceptional at operating our businesses via social distancing. We need to be exceptional relative to whatever inconvenience is thrown our way with respect to this. The second thing I want to talk about is our chapter meetings. And some of you are continuing to meet over Zoom, meet online, however, and that's fine. Some of you are meeting in person, and that's fine. People are asking for guidance on what they should do. And to be honest, from the very beginning, I have trusted you guys to make the decision. You know your own situations, you know your own members. Please continue to do that. Be smart about it. Certainly respect local mandates with respect to meetings. And if you decide to meet in person, please make accommodations for those people who might not be comfortable meeting in person. I would really appreciate that. I know a lot of the chapters that are meeting in person are certainly doing this. Please continue it. We all go home to different lives, and some of us just are not in a situation where we can meet comfortably with others. Please accommodate them. The last thing I want to ask, and that kind of ties into the second, is let's care for one another. And when I say one another, when I say others, I don't mean just members of AM Spirit Business Connections. I mean anyone. I mean everyone. In our communities, however you define your community, we're all connected. Even our competitors matter. Even our competitors matter. Tensions are high. Everybody is struggling somehow with something. Everybody is. And for us to succeed through this, for any one of us to succeed through it, we really need to make sure and help that all people succeed through it. So please be generous with your smiles. Please be generous with the uplifting words. Please be generous with the random acts of kindness. With that, I want to end with a quote from the book, The Light in 9/11 by Lisa Luckett. She lost her husband in the attacks on the World Trade Center. Amid the unprecedented tragedy of 9/11, an incredible beauty was revealed. It was made up of the strength and courage displayed in the struggle and undeniable grace of the human spirit. People felt connected to one another. The unity and patriotism for our country was tangible. Compassion was everywhere. I call this the godness of 9/11. Goodness with just one O. It's the incredible love, support, and caring that surrounded my kids and me in the wake of 9/11. It's the magnanimous resilience of the human spirit, the kindness and care that is inherent within each of us. In every tragic situation, godness shows up because people show up. Godness arrives as the kindness of strangers. If we would treat each other the way my family has been treated in the aftermath of 9/11, we would live in a far kinder and gentler world. What I mean by this, as a family of 9/11, we're always given the extra pause or moment of consideration before people judge us because they know our story. Maybe we could consider giving others that same consideration, the extra pause before we judge them, because they too have a significant story. I love that passage in the quote by Lisa Luckett. Thanks for your time today. Please share this with others. Please take these words to heart, and godness to you all.